Welcome to Burning Questions. My name's Alec and this is Glenn, and this is our 1 year anniversary of the series. So we thought we would start where we began. So if you remember back in episode 1, we were in this position, though a lot has changed. Some of the things that changed, you'll see, is a lot more sort of boards with our tested solutions. We've got microphones, for example. So yeah, it's going well. So what I thought we'd do is just sort of do a recap, Glenn, of what we've done over the past year. It's actually been quite a while since me and you've done a video together, so I've missed you. so it's all good. And then just I thought what we could as well, just sort of talk about what we've seen just in the industry as well, sort of what's changed over the last year, because it seems to have been quite a quick 12 months, I think.
Yeah.
So it's been a long time, obviously 12 months, but do you remember what we did in episode 1? Do you want to sort of do a recap of that?
Yeah, so just briefly, episode 1 from my memory was fire science. So covered obviously initially the whole idea of Burning Questions was to address some topics and questions which are commonly being raised in the industry, and just to provide sort of knowledge really for people and an answer to those things. And so yeah, fire science was one of them, an area which we felt it'd be good to have some
good starting point as well. I think
and
it's a good background to everything we do. Really.
Absolutely, yeah, and help people have a better understanding of the basics really of fire science. So you can probably add better memory than me.
We covered a variety of different topics, but we wanted to sort of give a sort of ground base. So the first few episodes of Burning Questions were designed to just sort of give that foundation that we could build on for our customers, and sort of to cover more of the more unique topics and questions that we get. So fire science was a good thing because it is the core of everything, not just what we do here at Passive Fire Protection, but for active protection measures as well. So that was a good thing. So we covered things like the difference between reaction and resistance, how we do fire testing, what engineered judgments are, that type of thing. Even just the simple thing of the different stages of a fire, which is quite key when you're looking at fire testing, where the testing we do, where it falls within that. So that was a good starting block. So once we had that, we thought we'd look at the second episode. So the second episode was service penetrations. So me and you dived a bit more deeper into that. So what sort of the questions we got, why did you think they were sort of good for the sort of customers, those sort of questions? So we talked about sort of like the rules on copper pipes, metal pipes, stuff like that. So it was just sort of to highlight, I suppose the best way to say it, highlight sort of things that people might not be fully aware of, that we take for granted, certain rules around service penetrations. There are fields and scopes of application.
Taken from the test standard, the different rules and things that are in there.
And sort of the different products and solutions we sort of had. But what did we introduce if you remember, in the last part of that episode?
Yeah, so that's when the competition really got started properly, I would say, with the mystery box. Guessing different services by feel. It was an interesting one, to say the least. Yeah,
we wanted to just try and, again, we were starting out, we wanted to try and engage the audience's interest, so we thought we'd add a bit of a practical challenge into it, which we carried on into the next episode. So the next episode, which was Quell for Our Products, this was kind of more your area than my area, because you've worked at Quell for a lot longer than me, and as part of the sales team, our Quell for Our Products inside and out. So that was good. We just talked about them, stuff like how many products, I don't even know if you remember how many products we can use for plastic pipes and stuff like that. So it was those sort of questions. And then we did another practical challenge, which I'm sure you remember. Absolutely.
I won that one, installing a putty pad.
Yes.
Don't think the display board's just here, but we had a competition as to who could install a putty pad correctly in the fastest time possible.
Yes. So, I will say it wasn't my finest moment, but as we did say on that video, don't try and install it the way we did. It was quite hard to do it. So you could watch us do it. Much better way to do it is to watch Glenn do it in the installation video, which is also on the Quellfire YouTube channel. So that was episode 3. So after that, we did think we sort of diverted, if you remember back. So we felt the challenge thing was, we couldn't keep going. There were some serious topics and discussions we wanted to have. So one of the first things I wanted to discuss with the audience is around fire testing. So sadly, you left. You didn't join me for episode 4.
No.
Daryl, who heads up our research and development, joined me. He wasn't as good as you, so don't worry. Obviously, don't let him know that. But yeah, no. And we dived deeply into a sort of service penetration fire testing. So sort of how we sort of lay things out, the rules, things like the cluster method, linear methods, how we test plastic pipes, various things, just to sort of showcase that it's not as just simple as, I'm just going to book a fire test, chuck a pipe through a wall. There are some rules, ways of doing things, and we just wanted to highlight those things. A big factor that people don't realise is cables. There is what's known as a full cable configuration. So I sort of briefly discussed that on that video. So if you want more in depth, go back and rewatch that if you haven't seen it. But that sort of pulled the curtain back a little bit just for the audience to see. And then the next episode, again, you obviously were too important because you missed that one as well, which was early engagement. So episode 5 was early engagement. So I was joined by Craig Wells, who is our sales director. And we sort of been working quite heavily. Even before I joined Quellfire, we've been very proactive on an early engagement and how important it is. Buildings should be designed before they're built, which obviously you're an advocate as well of. So we dived into that and the processes, how the REBA stages fit into it, and the other processes. So that was quite a good in-depth conversation. But the next episode I thought was very important, especially for people that are diving into passive fire protection, and that was the episode where me, you, and our former colleague Malcolm joined us, and that was the IFE training. So that one I felt was very beneficial. It was quite a good midpoint as well. It was sort of episode 6. So can you sort of reflect back on that episode, sort of why we did it first of all, and what was the main takeaway that we wanted from that episode?
Yeah, so there was a lot of, we obviously all did the IFE exams. Malcolm and yourself did the level 3, I did the level 2. We all passed first time, and we had a lot of discussions with others in the industry who were doing the exams, and just wanted to sort of give them a bit of a, those that were approaching the exams, give them a bit of a few tips and things that we found useful, and just sort of help them along really with preparing for the exam and what to expect and that sort of thing. I think it was good, especially because you'd done the online version and me and Malcolm had done the in-person version. So anyone that was looking to take the course, we had different perspectives and what worked better for each of us. But I think some of the tips we gave, because I know even when we discussed it on the video, there was still quite a high failure rate. It's like sometimes 50% were still failing that both the level 3 and level 2. So there was some takeaway points I think we all did. Some of it quite common. We read up things, did exam questions and stuff like that. There was some common sort of things that we sort of passed across. I think that was very beneficial on that. So that was good. And then the next episode I can't talk about because I decided to leave, and that was you. So myself and Craig, I think we're on, that's episode 7.
7,
myself and Craig, Alex already mentioned Craig, we did the episode on training and certification, so training that's available in the industry, and then indeed training that we at Quellfire offer, and the process of certification, what's involved, and really what at Quellfire what we can help with, and then what other bodies, third-party certification schemes and whatnot available, what they can offer and what they give you as well. So really just a bit of a dive into the training and certification that's available in the industry for those getting involved in fire stopping and passive fire protection in general. It
was very good, especially as I think what was good is you highlighted what we can do and what others would do, which the bits we wouldn't do. I think was good. Just sort of shows people that we can offer this. Didn't sort of like have any grey areas. What we advise for certain areas like inspections and stuff like that was a different thing. So that was a very good worthwhile episode. And then that actually brings us on to the next sort of series of questions, not questions. And they were around frequently asked questions, which was, I've done a couple episodes, you've done an episode, and Craig did an episode. And the foundation of that was that we'd had quite a lot of common questions that yourselves had, I've had. So we wanted to cover them. So over those episodes, that was the key thing on it, was to just get the question up and let's dive in it more detail.
Absolutely, yeah,
So,
and provide something that we can point people to and people can go back to. As you say, things that which the clues in the name, frequently asked questions, things which were coming up time after time from different people. We really want, as you
and
deep dive, and
where we could, we try and use things like that. I mean, this proved very popular. And it's been in a couple of videos now. So.
Single side access display board.
So
spin it around so you can see it. It's obviously installed from one side only. We have covered it in multiple different, as Alex says, we've covered it in a couple of different videos now. So
and that's why we have these as well. We are firm believers in pictures paint 1,000 words. And videos obviously must be even better. So watch our videos. So that was good, and that those episodes covered it, and we had done a series of them, but we've sort of had to have a break in between that because in October this year was the sort of big changes, even though it has been a couple of years since it started being introduced. The Building Safety Act came into full force in October. Still not finished. There's still a little bits to go, but the main bulk of it came in. So we decided, as best as I can, because I'm not an expert in that field, that to try and cover an episode just on the frequently asked questions around that sort of things about who the sort of approved bodies are going to be, the sort of the different roles, responsibilities. And there's a big emphasis, it was a bit of a buzzword, and I think people back at the start of the year were getting a bit sick of it because they didn't understand it. Was good, the golden thread and gateways and stuff like that. But those sort of big features, even though, to be honest, and someone said this at a thing I was at recently, was they haven't changed the regulations. It's just changed the way we're going to get to enforce the regulations. So it's really just sort of making sure people know their responsibilities, know the way of doing things. And the big emphasis, even though it still aims more at higher risk buildings, which I think it should be for all buildings, is how important it is to design and then build, because building and designing on the fly just has so many problems that we've seen time and time again, that the projects that are doing it the right way just are finding so many benefits. So that was the main reason for that episode. And then we brought it back with the episode just for this one, which was another episode of Frequently Asked Questions. So that sort of rounded out the year. But obviously, after a year, you can see that we've already changed the set,
definitely,
and the props, microphones, like we talked about before.
A lot more testing's been done.
A lot more testing. So the channel is sort of the series as well is going to evolve. It's not going to finish here. We've got quite a lot in the pipeline going. So I think, there's good things to come. And, how do you think, not just, I suppose, burning questions, how do you think our YouTube channel in the last 12 months has sort of grown and helped people? Do you think, because I've seen a vast sort of, we've taken, all social networking quite seriously at Quiltfire, but, we've been quite proactive with our YouTube channel, dedicated at least one video a week, stuff and things. Sort of how do you feel it's gone, especially as you speak to our customers more than I do? Yeah,
so I think one of the things which we may not necessarily have realised at the start is a lot of people use it as a great resource. A lot of people are actually using it as a resource rather than just perhaps entertainment or just finding out new things. A lot of people are using it, as I say, as a resource and indeed pointing other people to it. That sort of shaped the videos that we do based on that feedback from customers and really what people are wanting to see. Obviously started out with ideas that we had, but then obviously with the volume of content we've been putting out, we really have depended on feedback from customers and things that people are wanting to sort of be able to continue putting the videos out, because obviously this sort of gets to a limit of how much you can have of without input from others. So it's really developed and grown as a really useful resource and something that people can rely on and do use on a day-to-day basis.
But I suppose that sort of brings us sort of to the end, really. I know it's just sort of a recap episode. Is there any sort of final points you wanted to say? Or?
No, just on the point, thank you for everyone who's watched and subscribed so far. And if you aren't subscribed, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Make sure you're following us on LinkedIn. There are great things to come, so stay tuned.
Thank you very much.